All right, this is chapter 3, section 1 homework. You're gonna have something very similar to these. So listen, number 1, express in terms of I. Square root of negative 13. Whenever you have a negative inside a square root, what do? Take it out and it becomes an I. So we have I square root of 13. You could write it square root of 13 I, but you might get, there's a problem where this dividing, this symbol may overlap the I. And that's why I always put a little closing mark there. But it's always safer to put the I in front of the radical. So the answer here is I radical 13. Because 13 can't go any, it's a prime number, it can't go any further. Square root of negative 49. If we take out the negative, it becomes an I. The square root of 49 is 7. So the answer is 7I. The square root of 49 is 7, and typically the numbers go first as coefficients. Negative radical negative 100. Order of operations, we have to do inside the radical first. Take out that negative. So we have a negative I square root of 100. Because that just becomes an I. Square root of 100 is 10. So we have 10 square root of I. I mean 10I, not square root of I, 10I. So that becomes 10. The negative still out in front. Because that one has it. It's in the question. Radical negative 20. So we take out the negative, make it an I. Can 20 be simplified? 4 times 5. 4 is made up of 2 times 2. We have a pair of numbers. So those 2's go out in front. So it's 2I square root of 5. There's your answer. Two I square root of 5. So all I do is take this 20 and break it down to its smallest pieces. Once I find a pair of numbers, they go out in front. Whatever's left stays inside. Adding binomials, complex numbers. So the first one, there's nothing in front of it. So we distribute a 1. We get negative 4 plus 7I. And the second is plus 8 plus 5I. What do we do next? Combine like terms. You have negative 4 plus 8. to be positive. So 8 minus 4 is 4. 7i plus 5i, they're both positive. 7 plus 5 is 12i. So the answer is 4 plus 12i. Number 6, we have 5 minus 6i plus 6 minus 2i. There's nothing in front of the first one, so we distribute a 1, so it's 5 minus 6i. Same with the second. Positive 1 times 6 is 6. Positive 1 times negative 2 is negative 2i. Combine like terms. 5 plus 6 is 11. Negative 6 minus 2, they're both negative. So the answer is negative. 6 plus 2 is 8i. 11 minus 8i. The next, number 7. Negative 8 minus I plus negative 4 minus I. There's a 1, so 1 times negative 8 is negative 8. 1 times negative I is negative I. 1 times negative 4 is negative 4. 1 times negative I is negative I. Negative 8 minus 4, they're both negative, so you add them. The answer is negative 12. Negative I minus I is what? Is it going to be positive or negative? No, I'm glad you said that, but no. They're both negative, so the answer is negative. 1i plus 1i equals 2i. So whenever you multiply or divide, that's when you change the exponents. When you add and subtract, you only change the coefficient. Okay, so your answer here is negative 12 minus 2i. Yeah, go ahead and try to do this on your computer as we're doing that up here so that you're staying current with all the stuff. Ooh, now trying to throw curveballs at us. 3 plus radical negative 25 plus 7 plus radical negative 4. There's really not much difference between these and the ones we just did. There's a negative inside the square root, so what happens there? It becomes an I. Square root of 25 is 5. And second one, 7 plus, there's a negative inside the square root, so it becomes an I. Square root of 4 is 2. So we have 3 plus 5i plus 7 plus 2i. 3 plus 7, 10. 7, or 5 plus 2 is 7i. So, I mean, when we finish, we'll go ahead and do it on your computer also. So hopefully by the time I finish this, you'll be finished with your homework. So number 9, the first one, nothing changes. It's 5 minus 6i, but this negative changes everybody's sign in the second one. So negative times negative is a positive 6. Negative times positive is a negative I. 5 plus 6 is 11. Negative 6i minus 1i. They're both the negative 7i. So again, if you have a negative in front of it, all it does is change the signs inside the parenthesis. Number 10 is a tricky one. Because remember the rule that said we can, if we have a product, we can split them up? Well, using this logic, you could, if you're separated, you can put them together. But no, you have to take into account that these are imaginary numbers. The square root of negative 16 times the square root of negative 49. This first one, the negative becomes an I. Square root of 16 is what? 4. That's the first one. Inside the second parentheses, you have the negative inside the square root, so it becomes an I. Square root of 49, 7. So 7 times 4 is I times I squared. Whenever you multiply or divide, that's when you change the exponents of your variables. So I squared is negative 1, so it changes that sign. So the answer is negative 28. So don't use this rule, because if you multiply negative 49 times negative 16, the negatives will cancel. And that you're in the wrong ballpark. Number 11. Negative times negative. Let's see. Negative 4i times negative 7 plus 4i. Negative times negative is a negative. 4 times 7 is 28i. Negative times positive is a negative. 4 times 4 is 16. I times I is I squared. So negative times positive 4, 16. So the only thing that changes, the I squared changes the sign in front of the 16. So negative 28i plus 16. So your answer is 16 minus 28i. because you want to put it into the term in the form a plus bi. And the last one. This is FOILing. So you take the first one, -4 times positive 6. Negative times positive is a negative. 6 times 4 is 24. Negative times negative is a positive. 4 times 2 is 8i. Positive times positive is a positive. 8 times 6. 48i. Positive times negative is a negative. 8 times 2 is 16. I times I is I squared. So bring down the negative 24. They're both positive, so the answer is positive. 48 plus 8 is 56. And the I squared just changes the sign in front of the 16, so it's plus 16. Right. So now we combine like terms. Negative 24 plus 16. 24 is bigger, so the answer is negative. 24 minus 16 is 8, so it's negative 8 plus 56i. That's your answer. So that does it for complex numbers. We all think. You can't graph them because they're imaginary, but from here on out, the next section deals with, let me see, it deals with quadratics, zeros, and functions. And section 3 deals with analyzing graphs of quadratic equations. So now we're going to quadratic equations, which are x squares. We're done with linear equations. Now we're moving on to the first curve, and then the curve is going to go wild from there. All right, so that does it for lecture today.